Hey peeps, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. I'm feeling pretty good. I've got two gorgeous babies over there. Apple is around here somewhere. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about what to do when you get stuck in your manuscript. So if that sounds like something that might be helpful, stick around. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do and like this video, and we will get on with it here. Ellie, Belly, it's Ellie. Oh, so how are you folks doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. Well, it's tonight as I'm recording this. We've been having a warm streak, and it's going to get very warm for a few days. So I think I will be working more at night because I do not do well in warm temperatures. And even though we have air conditioning, it seeps in. So I will probably be sleeping later and working later. Anyway, so yeah, today I thought we would talk about what to do as an intuitive writer when you get stuck in your manuscript, because that happens now and then. Now, I'm not calling it writer's block. To me, writer's block is a much more serious issue, and it tends to deal with burnout and exhaustion and just needing a long-term break. But when you get stuck in the middle of a story, what do you do? I mean, a plotter, someone who plots out their novels, generally has everything written down in their outline, and they know where they're going, and they may just need to take a break or whatever to get back on track. But as an intuitive writer, it doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. Intuitive writers, we write organically. We write from the gut. We learn what's going on as we write the book. We find out what's happening as it comes out on our keyboards. We don't tend, some people, some intuitive writers do a little plotting. I myself write about a page synopsis, page-long synopsis, if that, of the highlights that I know will be in the book. Here, see, what are you looking at outside? Kiersey's naked again. She's dropped her collar, obviously, somewhere. She's really good at escaping out of her collar. And she's really good at opening drawers now. Not so good for us. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. When you are an intuitive writer, how do you get through the parts where the manuscript just slows to a crawl or stops? Well, I had something like that happen recently. I'm working on Cursed Web, and it just stalled out, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. It wasn't like I was bored. It wasn't like I didn't want to write the book. It's just nothing wanted to come out. And I sat there and I was like, I don't know what's happening. So there are several techniques you can use to get over these humps. Now, the first one, do you need a break? Are you just exhausted? Are you working so much that you can't think? Ask yourself and be honest with yourself. Do I really need a break? Do I need to take a day or so and just play or rest? And if so, and chances are the words will start flowing again. But if you're not exhausted, then the next step I go to is, am I bored with the story? Am I just bored with what I'm writing? Is it something I shouldn't be writing now, or is it something that I need to finish and then walk away from that series for a little while? Do I connect with the series? There are some series that I just don't connect with as much as I thought I would. The Magic Happens series is one. I like the main character. I like the world. I mean, it's one of my Shadowtown worlds. But I don't connect with Marquette, not that easily. So those books are a little difficult for me to write. I see Apple's tail over there. He's doing something. What are you doing over there? So ask yourself, am I bored? Well, while I was writing Cursed Web and I stalled out, I asked myself, am I bored with this series? No, I love this series. I love the main character. I love the side characters. I love the world it's in. So what's going on? I'm not bored. I'm not exhausted. What is going on? The next step that I use to break through a period of being stalled, I ask myself, is the story going the right way? And I look back to the last time the story was flowing, and I see if I've gotten off track anywhere. Is there a point in that story that I have tried to insert my own opinion as opposed to what's been going on in the world itself? And by that, let me back up here a minute. I don't plot out my worlds. They evolve as I write. They grow and evolve, as do the characters, as I write through the world, through the books. And sometimes if I have an idea of which way I think it's going to go, I will try to force it that way. I may not be deliberately, I may do it subconsciously, but I will try to maneuver it in the direction that I think it's going to go. And if it's not supposed to go that way, I will stall out because I'm trying to force it into a mold that it's not going to fit into. So is the story going the right way? Go back to the last place it flowed, take a look, see if you got off track by deciding to try and make it flow a certain way, or if you just stopped listening to the characters. Did you stop listening to the story itself? Did something, well, hello, Mr. Apple. Hello. Do you want to say hi? Mr. Apple, say hi. Isn't he a beautiful boy? Isn't he a beautiful little boy? Yeah, he's a beautiful baby boy. Well, he's not a baby. He'll be 9 this year. Hi, Kiersey. Kiersey is in love with Apple. Every time she sees him, she wants to follow him around, and she will get these big moony eyes of, I love you. And she will follow him and kind of drive him nuts with her adoration. And it's very cute. Anyway, so have you been trying to force your story in a certain direction? And the best way to decide that is to, thank you. Hello. The best way to decide that is to look at the last place that it was flowing and see if you started to consciously try to plot the book at that point. Because if you are someone who plots work, that's fine. If you are someone like me or like other intuitive writers, once you start to plot, you're going to be kind of lost. Now, I know there are in-between spaces. There's always going to be somebody in between. They're somewhat of a plotter, maybe somewhat of a pantser, as people call it. I don't like that term. I prefer intuitive writer. But if you tried to start directing it in a certain path, that could be the problem. I have been known to delete work up to that point, up to where it's like, okay, from here on, I tried to force it in a certain direction. So I will delete that amount of work that I wrote, or I will move that section of work. I will cut and paste it into a separate document, put it away for later, and just start writing from that point again and try to listen to the way the story was supposed to go. And then there's another aspect too. If you write on a subconscious level like I do, are you done processing? Do you need to process more? And that's not a conscious act, at least not for me. A lot of times I will need to take some time to let my subconscious formulate what needs to happen so it can tell me where I need to go. Now, I'm trying not to put spoilers in for those of you who love my Moonshadow Bay series, but I realized that a character needed to die. And I had no idea that that particular character needed to be killed off. And no, obviously it's not January. And I promise you, it's not the cats. The cats always get a free pass. Maybe they'll be in danger, but the cats will not be hurt. I promise you that. Anyway, so I was closing up my computer, frustrated, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Why am I stalled? Blah, 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 blah. And as I shut off my computer, all of a sudden, I saw what needed to happen. My subconscious was ready to let me know. I was ready to write that part of the book. And I saw it and I went, oh, okay. I did not realize this needed to happen. But it's not that I hadn't been listening to the direction the story had gone or was supposed to go in. It's that I had not processed through that part of the story on a subconscious level. And I had to allow the time for my subconscious to bring me up to that point. So once I knew, I was able to start writing again, and the writing has been flowing again. It's an example from Otherworld. Now, in book 15, Autumn Whispers, and this is so many years that if you haven't read it, yeah, it's going to be a spoiler, but it's been out for so many years that I don't count it a spoiler. So the city of Elkanave, the elfin city, gets destroyed in that book by a sentient storm. I had no clue that was going to happen. I had no clue that was going to happen until I finished writing the chapter before it happened. And I was getting ready to go on to the next chapter, and I sat there at my computer, hands on the keyboard, ready to start the next chapter, and instantly I saw everything that was going to happen. I saw the city being destroyed. I saw Camille and Delilah having to go through like a war zone. And I sat there going, oh, what the hell? How am I going to write this? It's a massive undertaking to actually destroy a city and describe it. And I sat at my computer, hands on my lap, staring at the screen for half an hour as I processed through what was going to happen. I had no clue, absolutely no clue that that was going to happen until right before I started to write it. And at that point, I was flummoxed. I sat there going, and then I knew a couple characters were going to die, and I kept myself from thinking, what will my readers think? Because frankly, what needs to happen in the book happens regardless of what readers think. But I did sit there going, okay, this is going to stir the pot. This is going to really reframe the rest of the series, even though I don't know most of how it's going to end, except for the very highlights, the top highlights of the end of the series. This will reframe how I get there. And that point in the series changed the direction of the rest of the series. So sometimes I think our brains don't let us know until right before it's time to write something, so that we don't have time to second guess ourselves. Because if I had tried to second guess myself and gone, but I can't do that because readers will be upset, because it's too much work, because it's going to mean looking at the series in a different way, I might have screwed it up and tried to avoid it, and in the process messed up the series. And I think that for Cursed Web, I needed to not know that this particular character needed to die until I was to the point where I was writing in it, because it might have made me hesitate. It might have made me sit there going, do I want to do this? Do I really want to do this? It's like, and so I think that our minds, for those of us who are intuitive writers and who do not plot and who write organically, I think that sometimes our subconscious protects us from knowing what's going to happen so that we don't mess it up by consciously thinking too much. So those are some tips for if you are stuck, ask yourself, do I need a break? Am I just exhausted? Am I bored with the story? Do I need a break from the series after I finish this book? Is the story going in the right way? Have I tried to direct it and in the process broken the natural flow? And lastly, am I done processing what needs to happen? And there's no good answer for the last one until it actually works itself through. However, I have found that a lot of times I will get to a level of frustration before it breaks, but I will do anything and everything to try and avoid writing because I'm not sure where to go. I will watch like Survivor. I will watch, I will play video games. I will go and watch YouTube. I'm a YouTube fanatic. And I try not to beat myself up when these things happen anymore, because I've started to recognize the difference between procrastinating and processing. Processing, I want to write, but it's not coming out. Procrastinating, I just want to go play. So that's how I tell the difference between those two things. So tell me, what do you do when you get stuck in your art or your writing or your music, whatever artistic venture that you journey on? Or even if it's like figuring out, a study for the work that you do, or figuring out a plan of action that you need to take for your family. What do you do when you get stuck? If you're not a plotter, if you are someone who works on an intuitive level, have you found ways to make the journey easier on yourself when you reach that sudden stopping point? Tell me in the comments below. So I hope this video maybe will help you a little bit along this journey, and I am going to get back to writing. Now, if you'd like to support me over on Patreon, I'm over there. Lowest tier is $3. You don't have to, but I appreciate everyone who does. And again, like and subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you next week. And hopefully by then, Cursed Web will be at my editors. So I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.